Yeah, what is going on, boys and girls? It's the one and only Lee Sanders. You, my pretty babies, are checking out an all new edition of the RCWR Show coming at you guys for this Tuesday night of March 13th, 2018, as we are now 27, going on 26 days away from the festival of them all known as Wrestlemania. Coming at you guys live right now, as always, on YouTube, Spreaker, Facebook Live, and exclusively on the RCWR Show app that's available for free in the Google Play Store. If you haven't downloaded that bad boy, make sure you show that a lot of love and check it out. A lot of stuff we got to dive into on this episode, man. I've been pumped for this all week. I love it when we have these hectic weeks where everything just piles up because it gives us all something to talk about. I mean, you take your pick, whether it's wrestling, or a little bit of football, maybe a little bit of gaming, even. I mean, just a little bit all over the place we're doing on here, man. Been doing it since 2011. Appreciate you guys' continued love and support as always, man. So get at me a couple of ways all throughout those outlets. We got a couple of chats in there. Of course, man, you got the Twitter, you got the Instagram, all that good stuff. Use keywords, the RCWR Show. Just saw SmackDown go off the air. Bit of a so-so episode, yeah. I would have to say, I know some of you guys have already put out some polls talking about, hey, how'd you like SmackDown? Some of the poll results right now looking kind of, I usually don't like putting out the poll results for SmackDown. You know, I used to poll for SmackDown every week, but there are just some weeks, even tonight, I just look and I say, why bother? Why do I even bother? Like, it just comes off so mediocre. It comes off somewhat of a thumbs down. Why even bother, right? There was a couple of little decent spots from SmackDown tonight, I would have to say. But, I mean, I guess you could say the way it ended, right? The way it ended was pretty decent. You had Shane McMahon come on out there, and he pretty much had said, hey, one of the last tasks that I'm going to be doing here as the SmackDown commissioner, because Daniel Bryan is going to be coming back next week. It's going to be all him. It's going to be his show from here on out because I am taking a indefinite leave of absence. I'm not sure when I'll be back, but Daniel Bryan, everything that he's going to be doing next week going forward, he's pretty much the man. Yep. But one of the last things I'm going to be doing before I step down temporarily is I'm going to make Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. And as far as he was concerned, the way he came to this decision just basically had to do with everything that culminated at the Fastlane pay-per-view over the weekend. And he pretty much had said, look, it's obvious that I have had a long checkered history with Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. And, you know, as far as Sami Zayn goes, he's absolutely right. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Hey, I've been dealing with these guys for the past several months now, but you know what? I'm going to make a really big WrestleMania match. My announcement, because remember, we got the tease all night. Those of you that watch SmackDown, we got the tease all night that Shane McMahon was going to be making a big WrestleMania announcement, and that announcement would be Kevin Owens taking on Sami Zayn one-on-one at WrestleMania. So I see what he was trying to do a little bit right there. And storyline wise, you got to give Shane McMahon a lot of credit for basically trying not to book himself in a match, right? You kind of look at it from that standpoint. He wasn't trying to put himself in a match in any type of way. But at the same time, he also saw a little bit of a ruffle in the feathers as far as the relationship goes between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. So he felt, well, hey, what better way to like take advantage of a fractured relationship, so to speak, than to have these guys go one-on-one with each other, right? Makes a lot of sense. But we see Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn come on out. They have a few choice words of their own to Shane McMahon, basically bashing him for making this match, to which Shane McMahon is going, hey, are you serious right now? I just put you guys in a marquee matchup at WrestleMania. You guys are actually going to be facing one another on that main actual WrestleMania card. And you guys are acting like this. Still didn't sit well with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. They pretty much just gave Shane McMahon something to remember them by as they beat the holy hell out of Shane O'Mac. Very bad. bad beating that they gave that guy. I love it. If there's one thing that I've always loved about Shane O'Mac has for years, he's known how to take a ass whooping. If you want to talk about durability, Shane McMahon's face needs to just be plastered right there. And the bumps that he took alone backstage, that spot there, you know the spot I'm talking about, those of you that watch SmackDown. That one, what was the, oh my God, that was just, but I think Shane McMahon overdid it just a little bit, because what better way for SmackDown to go off the air, right, than to have Shane O'Mac just laying on the ground. Oh, 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 and you're going, the first time you hear that, you're going, damn, man, and that shit must really hurt. I feel bad for you, dog. But the longer that it continues and the more he just keeps making that same noise over and over, you're going, okay, can we just fade to black already? Because this is just, now it's getting a little bit funny. Like, you're supposed to feel bad about the guy, right? But now you're kind of laughing your butt off at him. So yeah, let's hurry up, fade to black already. But so what's the end game? That's the question right now, because you see this angle come about and you can't help but wonder, okay, so obviously Shane O'Mac now is going to be out of action for a couple of weeks. Daniel Bryan is somehow going to have to respond to this disgusting display of human violence on an authority figure. Daniel Bryan's going to somehow have to counter this. So what can we expect storyline wise? Is it maybe going to be a situation where Daniel Bryan is going to, excuse me, that's the beer. If you hear me burping throughout the broadcast, it's the beer tonight. Got a fresh one right here. Is it a situation where Daniel Bryan is maybe gonna slap some type of a fine or 2 or 3, maybe possibly even suspension as well on Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens? Like, what could make that argument? It could very well happen. Or is it going to be some type of a situation? Well, let's go with the latter, because we know that's probably what's going to happen. Daniel Bryan is going to put them in some type of a silly little matchup, right, to try to get a little bit of retribution for Shane O'Mac, but that's not really going to suffice. I mean, let's totally be honest here. In the real world, you put your hands on your boss. Even if they were to say to you, hey, I'm taking a sabbatical, I'm taking a leave of absence for X amount of time. And if you, the employee, had got into some type of a verbal scuffle with that superior that ends up being physical, you 9 times out of 10, especially if you're the one that instigated it, but the boss was the one that finished it or whatever, no matter what, just the fact that you put your hands on the superior, 8 out of 10, your ass is probably going to be out of a job. So I find it amazing that in the world of the WWE, I just, let me put it to you this way. If it was me personally, I think what honestly should happen, storyline wise, you just have a report come on out through WWE.com's website. Pretty much, you could do it maybe by 11 o'clock at night, or you could do it first thing Wednesday morning. You can have an official statement come out by Daniel Bryan, who pretty much says, hey, I'm away on personal matters right now. As you all know, I had attended my cousin's wedding. That's why we haven't been seeing Daniel Bryan at the Fastlane pay-per-view, because he actually was at a family function. But you could have in storyline, Daniel Bryan basically through the WWE website put out a report and basically say, I am aware of the despicable acts that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens did to SmackDown Commissioner Shane McMahon. And though I understand that he was pretty much relieving himself of duties temporarily on that night, in essence, he still was in charge, even if one of the last acts of commissioner he was doing was putting Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in a match against Mania. He was still on the clock, and thus Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens put their hands on an authority figure effective immediately. These individuals have been suspended for 2 weeks. I have also slapped them with the heaviest fines as best as I could, that within the system, within the WWE system, that would allow, and I've hit them up with those fines, and they are suspended for the next 2 weeks. I will deal with them at a later date. As on top of all of this, once their suspension is over, they are going to have to stand foot in the middle of the ring in front of the WWE universe, in front of their peers, in front of me, and they're going to have to issue a sincere apology. And I tell you what, if I don't feel that apology is sincere enough, I will fire them right there on the spot. I could care less where they go. They could go back to Ring of Honor for all I care, but they need to come correct. They've got 2 weeks to marinate on everything that had came about from their actions that they did on this week's SmackDown. That's really the way that you could basically hype it up, that you could sell it up. But I personally don't feel as though they're going to be going in that direction, which is quite sad when it's all said and done. Instead, we're probably, because just think storyline wise, storyline continuity, and just think about how Daniel Bryan has normally been handling Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. His act of retribution whenever Sami and Owens do something wrong is to put them in some type of a match, whether it's a handicap, what have you. That's just really how Daniel Bryan always operates. But it would be a nice, good change of pace if something like what I just suggested were to occur. But what sincerely is the end game here? Because the vibe I'm getting right now, and I don't know if you all are getting that vibe as well, but I'm currently getting the vibe that maybe it's going to be Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan taking on Kevin Owens and Sami at WrestleMania. That's just the vibe I'm getting, because I can't help but go, what exactly is the end game here? What exactly is there to accomplish by having Shane McMahon at WrestleMania? Look, it's safe to say we're not going to see Kevin Owens and Sami take on Shane O'Mac in a 2-on-1 handicap match. That's not happening. So we can just pretty much, that's over and done with. Now, some people may say, well, Lee, it doesn't really seem as though we're going to get Cena versus Undertaker. I beg to differ after the promo Cena had cut on Monday Night Raw. That defeats the argument of, well, maybe John Cena could slide on in there since he's a free agent and he could be the tag partner for Shane O'Mac. I'm not seeing that, especially after, like I just said, the promo that Cena cut on Raw this week. Now I'm not seeing that. If it wasn't for the promo that Cena had cut, then maybe I could be here tonight saying it's possible Cena could be Shane's tag partner. But now you got to take that off the table, and then you're looking at the current SmackDown roster, rumblings that a Bobby Lashley has signed some type of a deal with the WWE. Is it maybe a situation where Shane O'Mac says to Kevin Owens and Sami, hey, I'm going to find me a tag partner of my choosing. It's going to be someone that is not currently part of the WWE roster, someone that you guys probably may know about very well. You've probably read up on the guy, but me and my mystery partner, we're going to see you at WrestleMania. And do you maybe reintroduce Bobby Lashley that way, right? If the rumblings are true that he has resigned with the WWE, is that maybe a step you take? And have Lashley be exclusive to the SmackDown brand shortly afterwards? Is that maybe a route that you go? The end game, and I've been saying this for a few months now, I've just been really getting the vibe that in some fashion, Shane O'Mac and Daniel Bryan, they're going to be intertwining at WrestleMania. And at this point, it feels like it's safe to say it's going to be these two teaming up to take on KO Sami. I'd like to know what you guys think. If I might be off, if you are really feeling more of the Bobby Lashley idea, I'd like for you guys to sound off. Let me know what you think. But other than that spot that we had saw on SmackDown tonight, I definitely enjoyed seeing the team of Big E and one of the Usos. I'm not sure if it was Jay or what. Now y'all have to correct me, but we had saw them team up. They had tried to face the Bludgeon Brothers. Good tag match. It was a good tag match for what it was worth. Loved the moment there where Big E was backstage right before this matchup had came about, and he was talking. I want to say, actually, you know what? Don't call me because they start to look the same after a while. I'm not sure if he was talking. I'm not sure if he was talking to Charlie Caruso or the other girl that just started. I'm not really sure. It was Jimmy Austin. Thanks. I'm not sure who Big E was talking to backstage, but I remember just the energy. I was really loving the energy that was coming from his promo backstage. I'm going, wow, yeah, Big E is coming along very well. He may just be a singles breakout star yet, which reminds me, there's a fun little topic I want to bring up later while we're talking about tag teams, single star action, all that good stuff. So, like that, it's going exactly the way I had said it was going to be going down, frame for frame. I had said it a couple of weeks back, reiterated it again on the Call That Match edition, where I had offered picks, predictions for the Fastlane event. I told you guys, frame for frame, how that Usos New Day match was going to be going down. And I don't like being right. I don't. But when I'm just really taking a step back and I'm looking at the current story arcs, and then I'm also considering, well, you put your thinking cap on. You like to write a lot of stuff. Think about this now. What's the approach that's probably going to be happening most likely? And just the way it's going frame for frame right now, that's the course. And I honestly have no problem with it. From the SmackDown side of things, I absolutely have no problem with it. The AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura interaction, that was fairly decent. I just really wish they would take a page out of New Japan's book and really kind of just, I'm not even talking about the whole Nakamura going okay, I'm only going to talk in my native language. And then after that, y'all translate. I'm not saying that. I still think that's a really good idea, but I just kind of wish that WWE would really go full throttle in with this. I know it's going to be a really great matchup, right? Like we all know that in our hearts, we know this is going to be a really, really fantastic WrestleMania matchup. They're going to probably have one of four as far as most time for a match at this year's WrestleMania. They're probably going to have the most time to really tell their story. So we know it's going to be a fantastic matchup. But when you just go back and you look at the blueprint that New Japan Pro Wrestling had laid out, man, they did a phenomenal job in everything leading up to that bad boy. I'm just wishing that WWE would just kind of look at the blueprint that New Japan had gave and pretty much go from that route, right down to the point. I think if there was ever a time to be paying New Japan Pro Wrestling a little bit of royalties right now, it could be 10 seconds. Show what had went down when those guys had locked it up. But then at the same time, some could make the argument, well, that's kind of putting the spotlight on the competition, Lee. I can see where you guys are coming from respectfully. You could also make the argument that, oh, well, of course, if you do that, now you're going to have people that are going to be comparing what these guys do at WrestleMania to what they had did in New Japan. Because even if it was just a 10-second clip, right? I mean, verbally, you can definitely acknowledge it. You can acknowledge the history between these two guys. You can do that. That's no problem. Then when it starts getting to that point, as far as showing footage, all that other silly stuff, well, not silly stuff, but you know what I mean. When you start getting to those levels, then it's kind of dangerous ground. You need to be a little bit careful right here, but they got to crank it up a notch. Same rules apply to Charlotte, Asuka. Same rules apply for that as well. Yeah, I really couldn't. Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny? Because when you look at Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, and then you switch on over and you look at Charlotte and Asuka, you just go, wow, well, on paper, they're going to have some really phenomenal matches. These two, they're going to be home runs. No doubt about that. But the promos that we all are gonna have to sit through leading up to it, I mean, it's obvious. AJ is gonna have to sell a lot more for Nakamura. Charlotte is gonna have to sell a lot more for Asuka. Speaking of which, somebody's gonna have to go a bit heelish here. Does AJ maybe go a little bit more heelish dealing with Nakamura? Is WWE finally going to kind of break away from the whole babyface versus babyface concept? Because then you got to flip the script and you got to look at Asuka and Charlotte, two baby faces going at it. So are you going to tweak it a little bit? I would think you have to. I would think when you look at Charlotte in particular, her best work for sure as a heel. And anybody that's read Charlotte's book, she loved that time that she was a heel. And I'm actually a little bit disappointed because I wish she would have dived a little bit more into when she was a heel. I really would have loved it if she could have went into details as far as the promo, the infamous promo that she had cut on her dad, making him bawl out like a baby. It would have been nice to know what was she really thinking in that moment as she was saying those words. Obviously, she didn't mean it, but what was going on in her mind as she was trying very hard to potentially fight back tears and seeing her dad across the ring just crying like that, bawling his eyes out like a little baby. I mean, it was almost like the way Ric Flair did that infamous segment. It was almost like he watched one of his kids. I don't want to say, I have to say it now because I've already teased it, but it was almost kind of like Ric Flair watching somebody close to him pass right before his very eyes. I mean, that level of emotion that Flair had brought out. So I really would have loved it if she could have went a little bit into more further details on that. But she said in her book that some of her best work that she enjoyed so far since she's been in the WWE was as a heel. And I can't help but look at Charlotte, Asuka, and say, okay, are we really going to just go to WrestleMania as it is with these two girls? And I don't really think you can. In the case of that matchup, I don't think you can. I think Charlotte is the one that's going to have to be the heel. So hopefully we get that wish, right? It would make a lot more sense. But then again, you could probably get away with AJ Nakamura. You could probably get away with it a little bit, just having them remain as they are right now. We'll wait and see, man. But other than that, really nothing else jumped out at me from tonight's SmackDown, sadly. Just the main, honestly, the way I'm looking at things from here on now, just things of interest that piqued my interest in particular. And those are really the things that I had. Okay, that was all right. That's giving me a little bit of something to think about. Yeah. But if there's something you want me to talk about that I didn't cover from SmackDown, I'm paying attention to the chat. You can definitely pop your head on in there and say a little something. See what else we got. What else can we talk about? So yeah. What else can we talk about? I'm actually looking at the comments in the chat right now. That's why I kind of paused a little bit with the brain fart in case you guys didn't notice. Let's continue on. We could talk about Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw. I guess we can talk about the big bulk of Monday Night Raw, which was the Roman Reigns opening segment. Now, let me give some props where it's due. Roman Reigns has been doing a good job these past couple of weeks with what he's being given and has gone out there promo-wise. He's doing good. He's doing good. I'm loving it. It's almost matching up to when Roman Reigns was feuding with the Authority, and it was almost at a point where you're going, there might be hope for Roman Reigns yet. This guy actually might be able to get the job done and getting over and connecting with the crowd. And then we all know how that had played out. Yeah. So fast forward, looking at what we had got from Monday Night Raw. Let me talk about the good. Let me talk about the bad. All right. Did Roman do good with the promo? Yes, he did. And if you are a wrestling fan that has not been reading the dirt sheets, listening to podcasts, because folks, believe it or not, in 2018, There are actually a boatload of people that do not check out podcasts, the dirt sheets, none of that. They just flip the channel and oh my God. And then they wonder if it's real. There is actually, you'd be surprised. And it's not a situation where it's old farts. It's people relatively young. It's people as young as 16. Okay. I know I've interacted with some. All right. So he killed it. If you don't know anything about wrestling, you're looking at what went down Monday night. You're saying, wow. I put the tweet out there. I said, hey, you talk about suspension of disbelief. What WWE had did right here with the opening segment, that was great. Shooting from the hips, so to speak, but also at the same time taking the obvious that everybody has known about for the past couple of years, at least the vast majority of fans have known about for the past couple of years. And for me, as good of a segment as that was, to just put the remote control down, get lost in reality, and say, okay, hit me. And to get what we got, I loved it. Seeing Vince McMahon in the gorilla position with Shane O'Mac and Roman saying, man, yeah, so what you got to say now, huh, man? What you got to say now, right? Brock's your boy, right? Brock's your boy. Loved all that. I ate all that up. Loved it. Here's the problem. A couple of years too late. That's the God's to honest truth. Because as I'm seeing all of this play out, as I'm seeing Roman Reigns say to the WWE universe and to those watching at home, hey, let's be honest, Brock Lesnar doesn't give a damn about the WWE. He has privileges. He has, yeah, you're not telling us anything that most fans already know, Roman. Yeah, he does have privileges. Yes, he does have perks. And one could make the argument because of all the work that he was able to accomplish in the WWE the first go round, what he was able to accomplish in the Octagon after he left the WWE, and the fact that he was able to come back to the WWE and still be a marquee name for a couple of years and involved in some pretty good matchups, right? Made the company and himself a decent amount of money to the point you look at the top grossing cats for 2017. Lesnar's right up there, if not number one. I want to say he was number one just from the list I had saw briefly. I was going to talk about the list on this week's show, but I kind of was going, maybe I'll talk about it next week. But I was going, wow, all right, so Brock's even commanding in top grossers. All right, well, good for Brock. But for me, seeing and hearing all of this, I couldn't help but honestly say to myself, yeah, you're not telling us anything new that most fans don't already know. It all goes back to the infamous. I remember I was on this very show exclusively on YouTube a couple of years ago when they did the infamous Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast, and he had Brock Lesnar on. And you guys remember way back when we were talking about the whole Stone Cold podcast, I used to come on. Remember, it was right after Raw went off the air. We would get a new Stone Cold podcast, and then pretty much after that, I would come on. And man, that back then, I think they went until the Stone Cold podcast seemed like they probably went about 45 minutes, maybe an hour. It really depended on who the guest was, because we remember Triple H, Stephanie, Vince, they extended the time a little bit. But all you have to do is just watch that. For anybody that has the WWE network, maybe you never watched that before, right? Or you just recently got the WWE network and you've never seen it before. Do yourselves a favor. All you need to do is watch that Stone Cold podcast with Brock Lesnar one time, just one time. And I promise you, after you walk away from it, a couple of things will come to mind. Number one, you'll say, well, now that I really have a better understanding of Brock Lesnar, I get it. I get why he acts the way that he does. I get why he does business the way that he does. I understand. I don't like it, but I understand. But then you also recall what Brock Lesnar says during that interview with Stone Cold. He treats the WWE, I punch in, I punch out, I take my ass home, rinse, repeat. right? He's almost doing it like that goddamn Looney Tunes commercial where you got the freaking coyote and the dog. They're both going to work. Hello, Tim. Hello, Ralph. And they punch in, and the freaking Wile Coyote, he's basically trying to steal the sheep as the dog is on the clock looking on. And every single time the freaking coyote gets the sheep, the dog just beats the crap out of him. And there's actually a lunch break. And at one point, the dog's got the coyote by the throat, and he's getting ready to punch the hell out of him. And then you hear the whistle for lunch. One of my all-time favorites. But you get the point that I'm making. So for me, just hearing this Roman Reigns promo Monday night, this is great. Oh, yeah. Suspension of disbelief. I'm loving it. Here's the problem. You're a couple of years off. You're a couple of years late. The time to had embarked on this story arc way, way past. What it feels like right now is a cheap thrill. It feels like just a short-term band-aid over a more serious problem, which is, well, what exactly is the game plan for Roman Reigns long term? This just feels like WWE saying, let's embrace all the negativity that has come about with Brock Lesnar. No, my friends, what you could really do with the negativity that has come about with Brock Lesnar is you could honestly had never put yourself in a position where whoever was doing the negotiating for this contract, and if it was Vince, more egg on his face, but whoever was responsible for orchestrating these contracts with Lesnar, to have him walk away with this big buku amount of money and only doing limited dates. He was getting more action in the UFC than in the freaking WWE. Yeah. You got to go back to the drawing board with that. That's unacceptable. Tear that contract up. This is what we want. This is what we require. This is what we're expecting from here on out. If you can't do that, don't let the door hit you in the ass. We'll see you in a couple of years for your WWE Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Plain and simple. You know what's going to happen down the road. You know it's going to happen. So let's not even fake on that. And who could induct him? Maybe Kurt Angle, yeah. But I'm not feeling it. I'm just not feeling it. It's a bit too late. It feels like WWE is just trying to put a band-aid over a more serious problem. And the serious problem is, what the hell do we have to do to get Roman Reigns over? We've tried everything else. What is it that we haven't tried? And at this point, what they're doing with Brock Lesnar, with this Brock Lesnar story arc, feels like a last-ditch, desperate attempt of an effort to try and get Roman Reigns over. And you know what? That's great if you want to have a guy come on out there and say, hey, this guy didn't show up for work. I did. Well, what the fuck do you want? A cookie? Right? You know how many times I show up to work and somebody else doesn't show up and they just keep it going? Eventually they get fired. They get what's coming to them. I've always been a firm believer in, don't worry about what other people are doing. Worry about yourself. Worry about what you're doing. Worry about what you bringing to the table and take it from there, right? As long as it don't affect how you eat, as long as it doesn't affect your roof over your head, right? As long as it doesn't affect you being able to continue to keep your lights on. That's all that really matters. Mind everybody else's business. Worry about yourself, right? But we've got this arc where it is right now. And I got to tell you, I'm not feeling it. I'm just not feeling it because I can't help but say, okay, that's great if you want to take this approach. But after WrestleMania, after Roman becomes the world heavyweight champion, what are you going to do then? What's the game plan then? What's the game plan from the night after WrestleMania going into SummerSlam? What's the game plan? Because you know he's probably going to be holding on to the belt for sure all the way up until SummerSlam, if not longer. So what's the long-term plan? What do you got set up? Because I'm looking at the current roster right now, and I'm not really seeing a main antagonist right now. I'm not seeing the yin to the yang for Roman Reigns. What are you maybe going to feed Roman Reigns Samoa Joe for a month or two whenever he gets healthy? Are you maybe going to go in that route? Are you maybe going to kind of do something with Dean Ambrose once he comes back? Or are you going to just let him be and let him continue to figure himself out? Right? Raw right now needs a main antagonist, someone of the caliber like an Edge. I'm talking about Edge himself, the WWE Hall of Famer. And you just look at the current roster right now, there's no one. The way Braun is looking, the direction that he's going, that's kind of off the table. What are you going to do? You're going to feed Roman Reigns for the title? You're going to feed him Samoa Joe? You're going to feed him Big Show? You're going to feed him Kane? People aren't really going to be Ooh, I gotta tune into the WWE Network because Roman Reigns is defending that title against Kane. Oh boy, no, be for real, be honest. It's not happening. So I hope that the rumors are true that there's going to be another shakeup as far as a another roster shakeup for both brands because there definitely needs to be some cats that need to come on over. Just thinking off the break, maybe you could do something with Lashley. That is, if you don't want to have him just be exclusive to SmackDown, maybe you want to have it be a situation where Lashley comes in as a free agent and he can pretty much go that way. Have a story arc basically where Lashley is trying to decide which show he's going to be exclusive to or whatever. You could maybe go in that direction. I think Lashley would honestly be a really good opponent for Roman Reigns. They're somewhat very similar, especially as far as moveset goes, but Lashley has more of the experience, of course, when it comes to the amateur wrestling background. But I think those two would have a pretty solid program together. So, Lashley jumps to mind. Just thinking about the current guys that's on the NXT roster right now. I know a lot of people are probably going to ask me, well, what about Aleister Black, Lee? How about Aleister Black? It seems like this guy's. I actually don't want to see Aleister Black nowhere near freaking Roman Reigns anytime soon. Aleister Black is still continuing to kill it down there in NXT. Let him stay where he is for right now. Is he ready? He been ready, but I like him to just stay there just a little bit longer, at least long enough for me to see him in DC coming up in April. I don't think I mentioned it to you guys. I'm actually going to be seeing for the very first time NXT action as WWE is bringing NXT for the very first time to Washington, DC. They're going to be having it at the Anthem, and that's going to be going down, I want to say Thursday, April 17th. So I'll actually be doing a on location spot edition of the RCWR show, let you guys know how that event had came about. But Aleister Black's been advertised. Cien Almas. It's going to be a great lineup. Amber Moon. Everybody's going to freaking be there, man. So yeah, but that's the real question that WWE really, and I hope they've mapped it out. I hope they have at least figured out who Roman's opponents are going to be for the next several months, at least going into SummerSlam. So it's a touch and go, obviously, but that's where I'm really at right now with that. Now, moving on. Another thing I enjoyed, Braun Strowman pretty much going in there by himself, winning the opportunity to face the Bar for the tag titles at WrestleMania. So, okay, what's going to happen here? Is there going to be a 2-on-1 handicap match, or is somehow maybe Elias going to get paired up? You would like to believe that by default, Braun has to pick a tag team partner because otherwise it defeats the whole purpose of being tag team champions. You have to go find a partner. I would think the storyline, and it doesn't get any more simplistic than this. It's basically Kurt Angle going up to Braun Strowman. Hey, man, congrats on you winning that tournament. You won the right to become a number one contender to face the bar for the tag belts at WrestleMania. But have you thought about who's going to be your tag team partner? And you got something as simplistic as Braun basically saying, no, I'm gonna do it my damn self. What are you talking about? I don't need no stake and help. You saw what I did out there last Monday. I got this. And Kurt Angle could say that might be true, but the way that this was designed, the way that we have it structured, you have to go pick a tag team partner. And honestly, if you refuse to go get a tag team partner, then I'm gonna have to strip you of that number one contender spot. I can see something like that basically coming about. And from that point, you could have a situation where Braun still isn't quite really sure who's going to be his tag team partner. And maybe that forces Kurt Angle's hand. And he goes, okay, well, you know what? Let me work my magic. I think I might have somebody for you in mind. And from there, maybe, just maybe, if I were a betting man, Elias is probably going to get stuck with Braun Strowman. It's got the whole what's the word I'm looking for? It's got that vibe. Like, remember when Steve Austin and Triple H had teamed up? You're like, whoa, that came out of nowhere, right? It worked for The Rock, Mankind. It worked for Cesaro and Sheamus. I have a feeling that that's probably what's going to be happening. And I'm fine with that. Honestly, if that's the direction that they decide they want to go in, I'm actually pretty okay with that. I see a suggestion in there as far as maybe Neville. I sadly am not seeing Neville. Now that all the smoke is cleared with the 205 Live division, and you've pretty much no more Enzo, and it's really gotten back to basics. I'm really under the impression, and 205 really needs it right now, especially if WWE is giving strong consideration to doing 205 house show events. They kind of had to back off of it a little bit because some of the early figures that they were getting from some of the events that they were doing earlier this year, it came back not really impressive there. We need to kind of go back to the drawing board a little bit. I'm really getting the impression that now that things are back under the helm of Triple H, and he's kind of going back to the whole CWC days, assuming that everything goes right with bringing Neville back into the fold, then Neville, I can see he's going to go back to 205, and rightfully so. They need all the help that they can get, but long term, I personally would love to see eventually Neville break away from 205 and try to go compete for the Intercontinental, United States, eventually a world title shot. That's eventually what I would love to see come about. So, but you can't deny that Braun Strowman and Elias, they have really good chemistry together. What they've been doing with each other from the past couple of weeks, they would be a very charismatic, a very interesting duo, I must say. So I'm hoping that's the direction that they're going to be going in. We'll wait and see. We'll probably know as early as next week, right? Another thing that jumped out at me, let's go ahead, let's dive right into it. The controversy with this whole fabulous Moolah matchup. Yeah, let's talk about that. But first, if you're enjoying the show so far, make sure you show some love. You guys that's checking it out on YouTube, make sure you click on the like button. And if you haven't subscribed, do subscribe and click on that little bell icon next to the subscribe button. That way you always get notifications for when we're live doing shows for you guys here. And of course, if you're checking this out on the downloads via Spreaker, there's a little heart like button. Click on that bad boy, share all that good stuff. All right. So we've got this whole fabulous Moolah thing. Oh, by the way, one thing I want to note. One thing I want to note, because I saw somebody make a quick drive-by in the chat here via YouTube, and I don't want this to be a situation where hit and run, basically. If I blocked you on any other social media platform, at this point, I don't know. The only time I will block somebody on social media is one, I'm seeing that I followed them at one point, but they're not interacting with me. They're not interacting on the content. And so as a result of that, I just pretty much unfollow. And when I block it, it's not personal. I block to basically say, okay, I'm not interested in coming across that person again because I see right now they don't do any type of interactions whatsoever. Also, the only other time I'll block somebody on social media is if they are a complete dick. And I think a lot of you guys can be in agreement. There's a lot of big bad keyboard warriors out there on social media. So I pretty much do a lot of blocking from those standpoints. But the key to interacting with me, honestly, if Raw's on, I'm tweeting. If there's a good basketball game on, I'm tweeting. If you're a fan of Cops, Live PD, Friday nights, Saturday nights, that's really a good time to be going back and forth with me as well, because I'm not thinking about a show. I'm not prepping for a show. I'm pretty much just relaxing. And I got to tell you, it's really been fun these past couple of weeks interacting with the Live PD Nation because the craziest shit always seems to go down on Live PD. It makes no freaking sense whatsoever, man. I just thought I'd say that because I was looking in the chat and I was like, that's a name I haven't seen in a good minute. Fabulous Moolah. Let's talk about that, yeah? That's all I had to say that. You notice the silence because I'm speechless. Let me see if I got this straight. And everybody's all bent out of shape. And look. Let me be real with you guys. Besides the month being March, let's really break it down. What month is this? It's Women's History Month. So with WrestleMania on the horizon and WWE basically, they got their hands dipped into Connor's cure. They've got their hands dipped into all of these great little programs that they're projecting. Oh, look at what the WWE is doing. We're doing all of these great things for our community and all over the world. Look at what we're doing with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Look at what we're doing with the book reading programs. Look at what we're doing with the Boys and Girls Club. Look at us. Look at all of these great things that we're doing. And you've got Stephanie McMahon boosting about how more and more women tune into the WWE product, and their respected data has shown that over the past 7 years, the increased viewership has been coming big time from the women. Age demographics 18 to 49 and all that jazz, right? So for me, when I see this announcement come about, and you have to know me for a long time to know when I'm being sarcastic. And I actually had put out a sarcastic tweet about this whole fabulous Moolah thing. I think I praised it, but I kind of thought about it a little bit more. And I wish that was a feature that Twitter had, by the way, which is go back and edit your tweets. Edit it in a way where, maybe you want to put in parentheses sarcasm. But I'm seeing this announcement about the fabulous Moolah Battle Royal. Okay, so basically you're doing your female version of the Andre the Giant Battle Memorial. I get it, right? Of all the names you could go through, you had to go with the fabulous Moolah. Man, kick rocks. Because as soon as that hat went down, I'm going, wait a minute. It's been a while. My mind's a little rusty. But wasn't Moolah involved in some shady shit that made a lot of people pissed off? And I had to go back and refresh my memory. And I don't think this was a good move by the WWE. When WWE is doing things right, many of you that have been checking the show out for a long time, when they're doing it right, I give them a lot of praise. When they're doing it wrong, I'm on that ass. And just from a PR standpoint, for WWE to even try and pretend that the fans are gullible and that they will just yum, eat whatever they put in front of the fans, right? fans are so much smarter than that. Especially, let me tell you something. The most dangerous fan isn't a casual WWE fan. The most dangerous fan is a wrestling fan, especially a wrestling fan that appreciates wrestling, be it all male, all women, one promotion, any promotion. The most deadliest fan is a wrestling fan, and there are more of those than the casual wrestling fan. You can easily go online and you can see all of I don't need to go through the whole spiel, but I know some of you have been anticipating me talking about this, right? Just the bullet points. Just the bullet points. You've got the late Luna Vachon and others that have gone on record and said, "Oh, fabulous Moolah." Not my words, theirs. Paraphrasing here. Oh, hell no. No, man, that bitch crooked. Man, let me tell you, the way she would use her power and all that, she would train us. She would take all of our money. She would give us drugs. She would have us sleep with guys. All this crap. All this crap. Oh, fabulous Moolah. She's just in it for herself. And I mean, even her colleagues that worked with her back in the heyday talked about how vicious of a businesswoman the fabulous Moolah was. Not to mention all the people that fabulous Moolah slept with just to try to somehow maintain her position of dominance, right? And I'm just baffled. I'm just amazed that of all the names, and see, here's what's really funny. Here's what's really funny. Everybody's going, oh, and there's no shot to anybody in particular, so don't take it the wrong way, all right? Because I don't mean any disrespect. I don't. There's no conjunction in there. People that are going, oh, well, Miss Elizabeth should have been mentioned. Let's debunk that right now, right? Yes, God knows I love me some Miss Elizabeth, but those last couple of years, very turbulent, hooked on drugs, messing around with Lex Luger, and just no. You know who they should have named it after? They inducted the woman posthumously in the WWE class of 2016. They should have went on ahead and they should have made the tournament. They should have named this tournament after the late Mildred Burke. And if you don't know anything about Mildred Burke, you need to do yourselves a favor right now. There's a really great book that I've been reading up on. Jim Ross, of all people, had recommended it. And I briefly had talked about this in my review that I had did because I had saw Jim Ross at the DC Improv. What was it, last year? Yeah, August of last year. And, he spent about at least almost 10 minutes talking about the career of Mildred Burke and how he was a really big fan of hers and just how he was able to learn so much about her career. And so much so that he felt it was a story that really needed to be told openly, more than just in print, that it needed to be a movie, a mini series, something of that nature. And he's actually been working with a production team for the past couple of years now, trying to get everything cleared, trying to talk with the right people to basically, I want to say he wants to do a movie about her life. And here is a woman that for 20 years, for over 20 years, held on to the NWA World Women's Championship. She made her debut in the wrestling world before the fabulous Moolah. She actually had debuted in the wrestling world in 1935. If I'm not mistaken, Moolah didn't really come along until I want to say the early 40s is when she pretty much had made her debut. So Mildred Burke already had the jump start and all of the when you look at Mildred Burke's career, everything that she had went through. She dealt with a husband that was a womanizer. This guy didn't believe in, and during that time, in the 30s in particular, 30s going all the way up until about late 60s, give or take. Man meets a woman, they both like each other a lot. Whether or not it's love or not, who knows? But they don't want to be alone and they decide they want to be together and they're faithful with each other. Man goes out there, makes the money, comes on back to a good, clean home. Wife has the meals ready to go, right? Raises the kids. That's how it was back then. I'm just telling the newer listeners because I know we have a lot of what's the word you guys like to use now? Triggered or insensitive people, right? Yeah, that's how it actually was back then. I'm glad that mentality has changed since then, but you look at when Mildred was involved with her husband, everything that she had to defy. She told her husband as they were at a diner one day that, hey, I think I have what it takes to be a wrestler. And if there was ever a time when somebody needs to be in your corner, it should be somewhat your significant other saying, well, yeah, you know what? If you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything you want, right? That's a big goal you're setting for yourself. Anything's possible if you put two steps forward and you go. But he ridicules her. He tells her, oh, no, you're not. And she just really goes at it, improving herself. She's dealing with this husband that is an asshole. She was victim to his abuse. So much so that even after she broke away from him, this guy had so much power, so much control. He knew the right people in the territories that there was a period of time where he actually got her phased out from the NWA. But still, somehow, she managed to prevail. And what's really sad about everything that came about with Mildred Burke is she got overshadowed tremendously. She got overshadowed tremendously by one Fabulous Moolah. Because Fabulous Moolah, once she started coming into play, she was being very fucking protective of herself, of her money, of her position for whichever territories that she was working in. And so as a result of that iron fist, combine that with what Mildred Burke's husband was doing. Sadly, Mildred Burke got lost in the shuffle. And, eventually, I want to say that there was a school that was opened up, uh, late 50s, going into the 60s, really difficult period in her career. She was still doing a little bit of something on the wrestling circuit, but it wasn't like it was years prior. She was doing odd jobs here and there. Yeah, her husband and manager slash promoter, Billy Wolf. Billy Wolf was the guy's name. But it's sad. It's really sad. But when you just go back and you do your research on her, she lived a damn good life. Quite honestly, there was definitely some turbulence in it. But if there was anybody that, let's go to this person as a pioneer. Hell, some people would say, man, why not Mae Young? Well, you've already done the Mae Young Classic, so you don't really want to have the Mae Young tournament be confused with what they just did exclusively on the WWE network. So let's also debunk that. But you could have easily gone into your wrestling archive history and been like, well, and I'm really surprised. I don't know. I think this would be a really great question to ask Jim Ross, which is, hey, Jim, with regards to this whole tournament that they're doing on Moolah, one, what do you have to say about all of this controversy surrounding Moolah? And then two, given your connection with the writer that wrote the book on the career of Mildred Burke, and how you're trying to get a movie adaptation, did you even try to pitch maybe that they go in this direction instead, considering the controversy? I'm very curious what his 2 cents are. I dare say I might actually write an email to Jim Ross myself and ask him, what the hell. And see, the reason why I mentioned Mildred Burke is because in order to have a true understanding, don't keep hitting me up with the what about Miss Elizabeth? Don't hit me up with what about China? Don't hit me up with, well, what about the Trish Stratus tournament? What about the Lita tournament? Let's be for real. There wouldn't be a Trish Stratus. There wouldn't have been a Miss Elizabeth. There wouldn't have been a China. There wouldn't have been a Beth Phoenix. There wouldn't have been a Victoria. There wouldn't have been an Ivory. There wouldn't have been a Sasha Banks. There wouldn't have been a Bailey. There wouldn't have been a Nia Jax. Do I need to go on and on and on? Without those women that came about as early as potentially the mid to late 20s, get involved in professional wrestling like a Mildred Burke, that paved the way for what these women are doing today. And that's on the real tip. So for those of you that don't know diddly jack shit about Mildred Burke, and you know what you know about Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young because of all the slapstick comedy crap that you saw of them in the Attitude Era, all due respect, they did somewhat their part in helping out the business. Mae Young, a little bit more of an angel, but Fabulous Moolah, hell to the no. I'm hoping that before this comes about, well, look, they've already named the damn tournament, the Battle Royal. They've already named it, so they can't piggyback now. They've got to embrace it. They have to. But I promise you this, don't be surprised if in the weeks to come, the backlash continues to grow with regards to them naming this event after Moolah, to the point they're going to be one and done. Don't be too surprised about that. But that's my 2 cents on that. I see a comment here. And Adam, I don't think it's a situation where people are shocked. I'm actually going to allow that comment to go because apparently this one is hiding right now. I'll let it be visible to you guys. But Adam is basically saying Austin, Stone Cold, beat his wife. Hogan is a racist. Warrior, a homophobe. Flair with adultery. Pat Patterson, underage boys. Sonny, multiple multiple DUIs. China, adult porn. Why are we shocked about Moolah? It's not about fans being shocked, Adam. And like I said, Adam, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna let your comment roll here. It's not about people being shocked, Adam. It's more about, wait a minute, given how far removed that WWE is trying to put themselves from, well, that was the old WWE. That's before we had became a traded company. That's way before we started to do these things with the Boys and Girls Club, the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and all of these great charitable organizations, Connor's Cure. You're talking about a time in our company where even though we were around, for a good minute, we were still trying to carve out our identity and ultimately put us where we are now. Our ideology and how we do business today is much different as opposed to how we go about business from way back when. So it's more so much so about how WWE is now trying to conduct themselves, trying to be a very friendly, they're trying to provide a friendly festival / entertainment spectacle that, come on, you can bring all your kids, people of all ages. You'll get a kick out of us. You'll enjoy us. You'll have a really good time. Trust us. Trust us. Nothing but good, clean fun over here. And the fact that WWE would pull this out of the playbook, that's what's making people, well, wait a minute now. You're saying you're trying to change, yet you're busting out stripes like this.
you realize these are like bad stripes, right? It's obvious. You can kind of tell sometimes when a lot of thought and preparation has been put into something. This just really comes off to me as a cheap tactic to try to just try to get attention on the fact that, after all, it is Women's History Month. And WWE, well, we've already done a first of this for a women's match, and we did this for a first of. Well, what can we do now? It's like what I've been saying off and on the past couple of weeks. There's only but so many firsts evers that you can do involving the women. Is this it? Is this the pinnacle? I would like to think after this, it is so. But yeah, that's my take on that one. So, oh yeah, I'm sorry if I got a little bit fired up on that one, but for me, that just was wow. Just you know, not surprising. Just man, how the hell can you go in that direction? It make no sense. All right. So other than that, yeah, we did see Cena Taker. We didn't see Taker, but we saw Cena. So it looks like we're going to be getting this match. Yeah. I just had a nice hearty chuckle as I was seeing John Cena. I'm going to be at WrestleMania. I'm going to be rooting all the guys because I'm going to be watching with the fans. And the next thing you know, somehow it just morphs into Cena cutting a really damn good promo on The Undertaker. I loved it. I loved it. Challenging The Undertaker to a match. But I started to have a hearty chuckle when the fans in attendance jumping up and down because they want to see Cena versus Taker. And the way it's looking right now, we're probably going to be getting this matchup. My thoughts, I hope, to follow up on what I said last week, I hope that this is it for The Undertaker. I really do. Because seeing everybody cheer that, oh, Undertaker, Cena, yay. And it's so funny because I've been saying this off and on the past couple of weeks. And when it went down Monday, there were a few people I was interacting with, and we all were basically saying the same thing, which is this match would have been great if we would have gotten it 3 to 5 years ago. But the fans in attendance cheering, so damn gullible, right? Never mind the fact that old man Taker has been coming out these past couple of years, moving around like an 80-year-old man. You see the WWE 24/7 they had recently premiered. They had to give Undertaker a bunch of shots. And this is before he goes to the ring. Try to help him loosen up a little bit, tighten up some of those muscles so you can go out there and put on some type of a decent performance. Here's a guy that only has been wrestling once a year for the past several years now, and he's off the other 364 days a year, and he needs so much time to recover from the injuries that he sustains in one match alone. Surgeries after rehab, after surgeries, after more rehab, and I'm not being the dick. I love me some Undertaker. Been a fan of The Undertaker since I was a yay small little kid. I remember The Undertaker that used to come out with Paul Bearer and the creepy music was going on. Myself and other little kids were crying at the sight of The Undertaker, right? Find anybody that was a kid during that period when Undertaker came in with Paul Bearer, and they will tell you the same thing. Kids were crying literally because of the sight of the Undertaker. They were scared shitless. They thought he was like equivalent to the boogeyman. They thought he was evil. They didn't want to be anywhere near the Undertaker. All right, so I've been an Undertaker fan since that long. And I'm being real. I'm supposed to get excited for Cena versus Taker. God knows Cena is probably going to be carrying the hell out of that matchup. I don't want to see another situation for me personally. And I wish more people could think like this. Me personally, I don't want to continue to see a haggard, physically beat up, broken down Undertaker painfully make his way up the ramp, painfully make his way to the gorilla position after dueling it out for anywhere between 15 to 25 minutes. I don't want to see that. It hurts me as an individual to see that because I'm aware of and I appreciate the sacrifices over what? A little bit over 3 decades now that Taker has been in the business. It's I mean, we're gonna get this, right? But that doesn't mean I have to like it. At this point, all I can do is offer thoughts and prayers that Undertaker comes out of this in one fucking piece and that he's done after this. I thought for sure after last year or the year before, whichever year it was, seeing him kiss Candice Michelle. It was last year, wasn't it? Yeah, because Roman Reigns beat him last year. I'm thinking, okay, well, this is it for Taker, for sure. For sure, this is it. We're not going to see him anymore. He kissed Candice. That's it. He's done. But then he shows up on Raw 25, and you're going, don't tell. Well, maybe this is just for Raw 25. And the promo that he cut on Raw 25, you're okay, so is he done? Or you're left scratching your head. At this point, man, that's all I want. Thoughts, prayers, peace for the Undertaker. I just want him physically to come out in one piece, be able to walk up to his beautiful wife and just live out the rest of his golden years. He doesn't need to do this. He doesn't. Financially, he is good. Anybody that has followed the career of the Undertaker knows he don't need this money, man. He don't need this WWE money. He's invested very well. He's built a really great life for himself. Few appearances that he makes here and there, he's set for life. He's doing exceptionally well. But this needs to be it. So I'm hoping that this is really it. I think it's going to be a very staggering matchup. Quite honestly, I'm not expecting. I've just gotten to that point with what I've been seeing of Taker from these past couple of years. I've basically gotten to the point of, all right, we'll set the standards this low. And if it exceeds that, then that's great. What I personally love it, if I could come on here for the WrestleMania after show and go, hey, I was expecting this, but man, Undertaker hit a freaking home run. One night only. We truly got vintage Undertaker from like back in the mid 2000s. We got that Taker. Oh, great. Fantastic. Oh, man, it exceeded my expectations. I would love to be on this very show saying that, but I don't think we're going. I feel in my heart of hearts, we're not going to be getting that type of caliber performance, at least not from Taker. We'll see what happens. Kid Rock being inducted into the WWE celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame. Just briefly, I thought it was so funny how when I had posted my thoughts about this on Facebook, and I also posted my thoughts about this on Instagram, and then just reading some of the comments, so many people were laughing and snickering and going, why is he going into the WWE Celebrity Wing Hall of Fame? Like, get the hell out of here. A Kid Rock, what the hell he do? And it just baffled me how uneducated some wrestling fans are about certain celebrities and their connection with certain wrestling promotions. And when the news had first broke out, the news had probably only broke out for maybe about almost 30 minutes. Because I remember I was actually checking out the news at one point. I want to say almost on a lunch break, Monday afternoon. And I said, hey, I have no problem with this, considering Kid Rock had done work with the WWE for over 15 years. This makes a lot of sense. I'm actually okay with it. But you still have people that were continuing to snicker, and I tell you what, WWE, I got to give their production team a lot of credit for what they did with that video package. Anybody that was snickering and all that other silly little crap, once that video package was put together and they put it out there, why he's going in, all of a sudden, those same people that were snickering and laughing, oh, well, well, I guess that does make sense. Well, I guess congrats for Kid Rock. If there's any lesson that really needs to be learned from this, don't be so quick to rush to conclusions. There's a reason for some of these people going into the Hall of Fame, whether it's political, whether it's financial, or quite honestly, they want to recognize that person's work, body of work. And just collectively, when you look at overall the body of work for Kid Rock, he has supplied numerous theme songs for some of the WWE superstars, as highlighted Undertaker. Some of you all have pointed out. He also did the theme for Stacy Keibler. You also think about all the times that he's hooked up with WWE and the tribute to truth specials. He's had more WWE live event performances than any other musician. And he's probably going to increase that record with this year's WrestleMania. And to hear that it's damn near or over 20 years since he's been associated with the WWE. I mean, that's even more mind-blowing. It's amazing how much time flies. But it just really, really demonstrates to me, and I know there's a lot of good people, good, kind-hearted people that's out there that, they're wrestling fans, but it's definitely a case of it seems like either you have people from my generation and older, Kid Rock, Celebrity Wing, WWE Hall of Fame. Yeah, makes sense. Or you have some younger fans, younger fans that might be, I don't know, 20 and younger that could go, yeah, I understand. Yeah, I remember watching WWE back, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm actually cool with Kid Rock. But, you have a decent amount of people, sadly, that don't really know. And this just follows up on what I said off and on the past couple of months. There's actually some people who I know that all they eat, sleep, and breathe is what's going on with the current WWE product. But when you start mentioning stuff like a Kid Rock going into the Hall of Fame, or you start mentioning Brother Love, or you mention Mr. Funaki, they just look at you and all you hear is crickets because they don't know. They don't know about that old school wrestling. They don't have those fundamentals, and it sucks because you can't really have a really good conversation with them, sadly. And you also know that this person doesn't really have a true sense of appreciation for what has led up to what they're checking out today, right? We can all be honest. I mean, that's really how it is nowadays. So much so, you don't even have to go the route of old school wrestling. I'll give you a perfect example. And we'll talk about some other stuff. Perfect example. I remember at my old second job, there was a big group of people that were into the wrestling, right? And I remember vividly when Jim Ross's book had finally came out. And I remember saying to some of them, "Hey, did you check out Jim Ross's book?" No, 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 no. You should really check it out because blah, 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 blah. And I was already like halfway into reading the book. Oh, I don't care for biographies. Well, it's not just a biography. There's also some really cool wrestling stories, things of that nature. Really helps you come away understanding Jim Ross more, especially if you are a fan of his work. And, some really cool, fun stories happen with, some guys, in the business. It's a good read. Yeah, no, I don't care for that. So, a conversation can only go but so far if the only thing that person wants to do is watch Raw and SmackDown and they don't even watch NXT, right? See, you guys know, I'm telling the gospel here on that one. So those type of people, you kind of have to throw up the X and go, yeah, I'm kind of keeping my distance from you. I'm fiddling around with something here, and I'm seeing that a screw head came out, and it upsets me because it's what I use to open my beer. So I'm a little bit disappointed right now. I'll have to play with that after the show's over. Let's keep going on here. Can I give some speedy recoveries real quick? Speedy recovery to Vader. Vader is having, or he did have some heart surgery earlier today, Tuesday. And as some of you guys may know, Vader, he's been having some serious health issues now for the past several years. And, the doctors originally they had told him that he was going to have probably 2 years left to live. And so he is getting this surgery, and hopefully he's able to have a speedy recovery as a result of that. Hopefully that increases his life. Yeah, because he's 62 now, and he had revealed this news about the doctor saying he had 2 years left to live. Sometime in 2016, late 2016, he had revealed that, and he was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. This was pretty much due to all those years of when he was a football player, also the rigorous wrestling schedule that he was on. So all of that eventually, Father Time catches up to all. Even if you are healthy, you're living a really good, awesome, clean, sober, drug-free life, Father Time eventually catches up with you and breaks that body down. It just sucks what's going on right now. We know that he had tried to hook up with Diamond Dallas Page, and Diamond had some rules that were set in place as far as what he wanted for Vader to do, as far as really dedicating himself to the program. And they had a little bit of a falling out because that really just was not meeting Vader's cup of tea. Because financially, if I remember it right, Diamond wanted Vader to stop wrestling. And Vader's going, I can't do that, man, because this is how I'm making my money. This is how I'm able to pay for some of my bills that I have, and, roof over my head, all that. So I can't just stop this cold turkey. So speedy recovery to him, and a speedy recovery to Konan. Konan, who is 54, but you really couldn't tell that when you see him on Impact Wrestling. But Konan, he is getting another hip surgery. His last hip surgery was in 2007. That was also the same year that he had got his kidney transplant. So he's going in this go round. He's getting another hip replacement surgery. So hopefully that goes right for him. So speedy recovery. I think he's already gone under the knife as well. So speedy recovery to Konan. You know who else needs a speedy recovery right now? Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy needs a speedy recovery right now. I want to send nothing but thoughts and best wishes, and most importantly, resolution to Jeff Hardy. So you've got this in North Carolina, this DWI, driving while under the influence. Cops had got him. And you just, it's sad. It's really, really sad. Apparently, his blood alcohol level was at least 2 times the limit. It was ridiculous. What does this, as far as an impact, how much of an impact, if any, is this going to have on Matt Hardy's The Ultimate Deletion match against Bray Wyatt at the Hardy compound? How much of it was already in the books? How much of it was taped? We won't really know until we see what we see on Monday Night Raw. But I would imagine that WWE, they're probably going to do their very best to reach out to Jeff and say, hey, look, maybe it's a little bit time. Don't you think it been time for you to kind of stop this type of behavior? We want to maybe get you into some Alcohol Anonymous classes. Yeah, good luck being anonymous from that standpoint. That ain't happening, but definitely some type of rehab Jeff Hardy is going to need, I feel, to personally go on ahead and finally be done with the drinking, right? At this point, see, you can't say, well, I'm not doing drugs anymore, but now what I'm taking up is alcohol. You can't trade one vice for another. You just gotta stop cold turkey. You have to stop cold turkey. And you would just think that, and you guys, I gotta ask you all live in the chat, how old is Jeff Hardy? Is Jeff Hardy 42 maybe? He kind of looks like he's maybe 41 or 42. Somebody let me know how old he is. The point I'm making is there comes a time in your life where you have to say, you got to smack yourself. You got to say, I got to get out of this. This is played out. This is getting a little bit old now. Like the time for me to act this way was when I was in my late teens, when I was in my 20s. Now I'm in this situation where I have a really good life. I have to provide not just for myself, but I have my own respective family. I can't keep acting like this. Thank you, Austin. Jeff Hardy, 40 years of age now. And you're continuing to act like you're a 20-year-old. Now, look, I've got a lot of respect for everything that the Hardys have done for this business. Yours truly had the opportunity to chat with Matt Hardy a couple of years ago. That's actually available in the guest exclusive section on the YouTube channel, and it's available on the downloads. And I told Matt, I said, it's really awesome how you've been able to turn your life around for the better, and your marriage and all that. He just seemed like he was in a much better place. And I get that Jeff Hardy is living the good life, but there comes a point in time where you have to really wake up. You have to say, okay, it's time for me to grow up. I have to be more responsible. I have to set an example, not just for myself, but for my family. I have my own respected kid or kids. I am a uncle to more than one kid. Eventually they're going to get to that point in age where they're going to be able to backtrack, go online. They're going to see my mugshots. They're going to see all the times that I've been arrested. And they're either going to say, Daddy, why did blah, 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 blah. Or they're going to say, hey, Uncle Jeff, can you just imagine those conversations, guys, when it comes about? I mean, that's going to be really freaking cringeworthy, right? So now is the time that you start laying down the seeds of, all right, for the remainder of my life, now I'm starting to lay down the foundation of what will be my legacy. Best way I can describe it to you guys that are maybe a lot younger. For most of us, once we're in our 30s, we say, okay, what we did in our 20s and late teens, we got to stop that now. We got to start laying down the foundation, being a more serious and responsible adult. Because by the time we're 40, we financially, we definitely want to be set. Either there's kids in the picture, we everything that we do as far as fuck ups and all that, that's what we got our teens and our 20s for. The 30s, you can make a few more mistakes, but by the time you pretty much get to 40, that point forward, tick tock, tick tock. Now you're officially old, but at the same time, you're 10 years away from 50. So now more than ever, you really got to start. Best way I can describe it, everything I just said, but you also start to get melancholy. You get melancholy from the standpoint of, man, 4-0. Now I'm a couple of years shy from 4-0, but I find myself from time to time saying, wow, 5-0, it's creeping. And man, when it hits, where do I want to be? What do I want to be doing? From that point going forward, I can drop any minute. What's my legacy? What's my testament? You really got to start thinking. So I really hope Jeff is just able to turn this bad boy around for the better. And I don't know if it's a situation where he maybe needs to get with Matt and get some of his secrets to how he's been able to continue to live a really good life and being able to kick the habit. And, doesn't really seem like he's okay. I've stopped this, but now I'm doing this instead. But it's just, and some actual news I want to put out there, because I know all the wrestling media outlets, they would like to have you believe that, oh, well, this is what had went down and this went down. But a couple of key points that I want to bring up with regards to Jeff Hardy's latest DWI in North Carolina. So the police had pulled him over Friday night on March 10th. They pulled him over at about 8 p.m. and the vehicle, it's a wreck. It ain't drivable. And they're estimating that it's probably at least about 10 grand of damage that was done to the vehicle, but the vehicle is estimated to be about $70,000, give or take, right? So, but they said, hey, it's bad. The vehicle, he ain't taking it nowhere. It's not drivable. They pretty much had to get a tow company to come out and take that vehicle away. So, unfortunately, you've got reports that's floating around where people are saying that, Jeff Hardy, he totaled the car, or, he did XYZ. And I just really think it's important to know of what was actually said in the police report. It is accessible. Anybody, you the listeners, can easily access this, right? It's out there for all the public to see, right? So, I don't really like the fact that we have all of these wrestling dirt sheets websites that are all basically reporting the same thing, and they're trying to say stuff in such a way to try to make themselves look good so that you'll click on their links because they have the skinny, they have the scoop. But the real truth is there is a DUI, or driving while under the influence. I should say DWI. I don't know why I kept saying D. Well, you can say DUI too, driving under influence. Yeah, it went either way. But the fact of the matter is the vehicle, it's bad. It's badly damaged, not drivable. He failed the breathalyzer tests, all that, whatever they gave him. And they pretty much had no choice but to take him in. They had to arrest him. I'm just sincerely grateful that nobody was seriously injured, because in this day and age, this is the type of stuff that we're seeing. We're seeing more and more people that are being reckless behind the wheel. They're not thinking about the other people that they're sharing the roads with. They're just basically being selfish, and they're just not thinking when it's all said and done. If you're gonna drink fucking responsibly. I can't tell you, just in the 3 years alone, how I have heard of stories from people that I either know, or my girl knows, or somehow a coworker of mine knows. Somehow it connects back to me, and we hear about people that were involved in these really messed up car accidents. Some able to walk away from them, others lose their lives. I remember just the last one. It was probably about 4 months ago. I'm not making this about me. I'm just sharing a similar story with you, and how important it is to drink and drive responsibly. I won't be long with the story, but in a nutshell, I remember my girl's coworker. She actually had met up with a friend, and they ate at a restaurant or whatnot. And I remember she went on ahead. They both went home. And my girl's friend was actually behind the other friend driving or whatever. So long story short, accident comes about because somebody was just driving like a bat out of hell. I mean, they were way exceeding the speed limit. I mean, it was double on the freeway. And long story short, massive car accident. The two friends, they were still kind of like behind each other, but there was maybe another car in the middle. This dumbass comes up, and all of a sudden you got four cars that get fucked up. So my girl's friend is involved in one of those, and then her friend actually died, if I'm not mistaken, on the scene. No, she died at the hospital. She was conscious briefly and was talking to the friend, but she died pretty much, I think, on her way to the hospital or as they were doing surgery on her. And the asshole that had caused all of this, the asshole was drunk. The asshole was drunk. The asshole was on a suspended license. So she had no business driving whatsoever. And boys and girls, to make it even worse, she had her daughter, who I want to say was under 15, that was in the car. That's what I mean by drink responsibly. You know, if you've had too many drinks, you need to go on ahead, call yourself a damn Uber, call yourself a taxi, a Lyft, whatever. Call a friend to come get you. Push come to shove. See if maybe you can go sleep in the break room at your job if it's nearby. It ain't worth it. It just ain't worth it. And with this long history of Jeff Hardy, I actually wouldn't be surprised if at this point North Carolina, if maybe they decide to say, you know what, man, you and the problems that you've been having with drinking and other stuff, we're just going to go on ahead and we're just going to suspend your license. You're just banned from driving, period. You cannot drive any longer. I would hope that's what happens, because I mean, if you can't be responsible and you keep getting in accidents, then by default, I just personally feel the law needs to step in and you need to be done. Quite honestly, that's what needs to happen. So let's go ahead. Let's continue on here. I'm actually just poking my head in some of the chats here, looking at some of the stuff that's coming in on Facebook, looking at some of the stuff that's coming in on YouTube and some other platforms. I like what Cal had said via Facebook. He said, I would like to see Braun Strowman team up with the Big Show. I don't know how many of you personally would like to see that, but there's one vote for the Big Show there, as far as somebody missing the Big Show. And go into see what's happening in the Spreaker chat here. See what you guys are saying in the Spreaker chat here. I got Reza. Shout out to Reza. Reza is saying the fabulous Moolah Battle Royal will just be a meaningless win, just like the Andre the Giant Battle Royal is. It just seems like a way for WWE to include all women at WrestleMania. It's an everyone gets a trophy mentality. Yes, you summed it up perfectly. I would definitely agree with that sentiment, Reza. That's exactly how it feels like. And it also feels like a cheap tactic to eventually build a really great portfolio for Stephanie McMahon and crew. Next time Stephanie goes to some summit in Washington, D.C. or New York at some expo, as far as how she has been able to lead the way with her company, you could say, in the WWE, and empowering women and all this other bull crap, right? I mean, it's just gotten down to that point now where is anybody else starting to get nauseous every single time the commentators talk about how Stephanie McMahon is the face and the leader of the women's revolution? Mm. Mm. Don't even get me started on that one. Keep it up. Let's keep going here. Okay, we got a second vote for Big Show. Austin is saying Big Show is my choice for Strowman as well, but Elias would work great too. So we got 2 votes. All right, I see you guys. Y'all must be honest with yourselves. Y'all been looking at them pictures of Big Show again, saying, "Damn, he's ripped." Be honest. Then when you see him in person, you're gonna be disappointed. Right? Watch, just watch. All right, check out some more notes here. Let's see what else we got to talk about. We're doing pretty good so far. This feels like it's going to be honestly a 2-hour show, so we'll see how it goes. Oh, by the way, I got something fun I want to share with you guys. The next time you come across a jackass that says to you, "Oh, so what are some of your hobbies?" and you say, "Oh, well, I like checking out wrestling," and somebody says to you, "You still watch that shit? Ain't that shit fake?" You know how some people like to come out there and they like to, is it scripted? Yes. But what happens in the ring? Oh, it's very physical. Hey, you're talking to someone that at one point was trying to train to be a wrestler. So, yeah, the bumps in there, it's legit. And accidents will happen, injuries will happen. The next time somebody wants to come at you and basically say, "You still watch that fake shit?" Here's what you do. Interesting list. I was just a little bit curious and I needed a refresher. For WWE right now, there are 15 wrestlers that are out right now due to injury. And all of this pretty much had came about in 2017 going into now. Check this out. Tamina, torn rotator cuff. Samir Singh, torn ACL. Epico Cologne, Primo Cologne. One has a shoulder damage injury, the other has knee damage. Alicia Fox, broken tailbone. Noam Dar, meniscus tear. Brian Kendrick, broken orbital bone and nose. R-Truth, shoulder damage. Jeff Hardy, torn right rotator cuff. Samoa Joe, foot tissue rupture. Jason Jordan, neck disc damage. Paige, neck damage. Dean Ambrose, right tricep tear. Big Show, hip damage. Big Cass, torn ACL. Ain't that something? It's a little bit of food for thought right there, man. Just a little bit of food for thought. And I see Rich Swann. Rich Swann is making headlines right now. We all know about the incident that had came about late last year involving him and his wife Sue Young. They had just got done going to a wrestling event where Sue Young was participating in some action, and things got pretty heated as Rich and his wife were going back and forth. Rich had a particular problem with how she executed some things in her match. Things can get pretty heated. We've all been there, right? We're talking to our significant other in a car. Things are going really good, or maybe one of us had a really bad day and we're just feeding off of that. Things escalate, things happen, right? Cops get involved. We know the rest. We don't need to go through the whole spell, right? By now, we pretty much know the whole deal. So you had these reports that came about it as far as Rich Swann basically being a dick, being abusive to his wife and all that. Sue Young, hey, nothing happened. It was just a heated argument, blah, 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 blah. WWE decided that they were going to use this as an opportunity to cut bait and ditch the guy. So since Sue Young, hey, no, nothing happened. It was just an argument. All charges dropped. But you still have some wrestling promoters that honestly, in this day and age, the way social media is operating and the way a company can quickly get picked apart by questionable decisions, especially from the forefront of employment, we don't want to touch him. So the bookings that Rich Swann did have, he was going to be busy all WrestleMania weekend. He decided he was going to just stop cold turkey. He already said about a week or two ago, this was going to be his final year. He was going to fully commit himself to any dates that he had already booked, and that was going to be it. He was going to move on. But now he's decided, no, you know what? I'm done. I can't help but go, one, I hope you have a really damn good backup plan, money-wise. I hope that something is lined up and you're, boom, just like that, you're going to be able to make the transition into something else. I hope that there is another career path / job waiting in the wings, quite honestly. Because to just stop cold turkey, all the potential money that you could be making WrestleMania weekend. I mean, let me use a really good analogy. I don't need to overthink this. I don't need to be going, Let me give you a really damn good analogy. If you're hearing me burp, it's the beer. You guys got to mind me, man. Check this out for a second, right? Let's just say, for the sake of the argument, a flea market. let's use a flea market as an example. Let's say that when it comes to flea markets, and if you don't know how flea markets work, basically, usually every other Friday and the weather is on point, there's a weekend where you go to the flea market. You can find whatever you need. You got tables upon tables upon tables of vendors selling all kinds of cool shit. They're usually doing it at some type of fairgrounds, a parking lot, somewhere. They're usually doing it, right? So let's say you build a really good reputation because you sell really good stuff at really great prices, and you're always making a ton of money off of this, right? Now, let's say there is a situation that comes about one weekend where you get into a really bad accident, and let's just say DUI, right? Let's just say DUI. And during the course of this DUI, you happen to be riding with your significant other. Y'all get into a heated conversation. There's a lot of arguing going on. Police get involved. Your fellow breathalyzer test. You got a DUI, all that good stuff. Yeah. Now, some of these flea markets, they do require that you register, you pay a fee, and all this other bullshit jive, right? Now, let's say that your role in the community is one that's of high profile. Let's say maybe you do work at a church or at a school. So word gets back to those colleagues and they're going, "Hey, man, what the hell? What were you thinking?" "Well, the congregation, I don't know. The congregation wants to take an emergency vote. They may vote you out," right? So are you telling me that after the reputation that you've built at flea markets, making X amount of money for yourself, because of this DUI that now got out there, and you're a prominent figure in your community, in your respective community, everybody knows you. You could be walking down the street, people know you. You're telling me that you're going to leave all that money on the table from the flea market? Yeah, things are probably going to end up in a situation where, with your congregation, maybe they're going to say, "Hey, why don't you take a leave of absence for a couple of weeks?" They may say that. Or, "Hey, the board has decided they want you out." Heaven forbid you're a school teacher and you're out. So at this point, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but isn't typically the mentality when one main source of income disappears and you have something that's on standby that has shown consistently that you can bring in some type of a modest income, that you're going to do whatever you can to keep that at all costs until you get a something better presented to you? I mean, isn't that typically the mentality that most people have? I know that's the mentality that I have. If this is the only side modest thing that I have on top of whatever job, why would I just, okay, you know what? I'm not going to take any more bookings. It almost comes off to me that Rich Swann is fearing any type of retaliation from wrestling fans that may come about come WrestleMania weekend. That's the vibe I'm getting. I'm getting the vibe that he doesn't want to face any type of verbal backlash or whatever from fans. And some of the stuff that had came about with the recent promoters, that he was trying to get himself booked through their promotions since they decided they wanted to go in other directions. He kind of took some of that a little bit personal, and he just decided, no, I say for those that went on ahead, looked past your discretions and decided they wanted to do business with you anyway, definitely honor them. Don't just prematurely, "Hey, I'm done," because now you put yourself in a situation where you finally do get that itch. And I do feel he's going to be back. He's going to be back in pro wrestling. I don't know if it's going to be a situation where it's going to take 7 months or it's going to take a year. I have him coming back. It's a premature retirement. I've got the guy coming back. But to just burn bridges like this. Honor the dates. Honor the fucking dates. If I'm Rich Swann, the best advice I'd give to the brother right now is take this as a learning lesson, take it in stride, use whatever negativity that is coming your way to try your very best to turn it into positivity and do right. Do right, not just for your wife and your family and your friends. Do right for yourself because it's the right thing to do. All of this canceling just makes you look very guilty. It makes you look silly, quite honestly. My advice to Rich Swann, get on the phone, call them people up, keep them damn dates. And this stuff from Sue Young about, oh, respect our privacy, you can't have it both ways. You can't say respect our privacy and then say, oh, send us nothing but your thoughts and prayers. When I hear somebody say respect our privacy, I hear, okay, so you want me to respect your personal life. You want me to respect your personal space. You want me to keep my distance, keep my nose out of your personal life. Okay, I'll do that. You can't say keep your nose out of our business and then say, oh, well, we appreciate your thoughts. And it doesn't work like that. If you're going to open yourself up to folks on social media, sadly, you have to also be prepared to be under the microscope of ridicule. It happens in every form of media. It happens in every sport. It happens in every industry. It's just something that continues to be a trend, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Just a little bit of food for thought there. CM Punk looks like he's going to be coming back to the UFC. He's coming back to the Octagon. He pretty much had confirmed in a tweet with someone as they wanted to know how soon it would be before he took another fight because they couldn't wait to see him get his ass beat again. And pretty much when UFC brings the action to Chicago, is that in June, guys? I don't have the date in front of me. I want to say in June when UFC comes on to Chicago, that's when CM Punk is going to be fighting. Word right now, as far as his opponent goes, no one knows. Yeah, I'm happy for Punk. I'm happy from the standpoint of he's getting another opportunity, especially in the UFC, mind you, because this could have been a situation that could have been, hey, CM Punk to Bellator, or he could have gone to a up and coming promotion and just try to build himself up that way. But no, he's getting another shot at UFC. And I'm happy for Punk. I sincerely am happy for Punk, and I wish him nothing but the very best. Would I love it if he gets a W? Yes, I want him to taste that first W for an MMA fight. I want him to get that. But it's really nice to see an individual that has taken so much criticism from walking away from the WWE, walking away on top, mind you. Yeah, kind of bad the way that he had did it. Things could have been done and should have been done much differently. You're on your way out the door. Okay, use this opportunity to try to put the next guy over, right? But it didn't play out exactly that way. And just how much scrutiny he received as a result of saying, hey, instead of doing wrestling, I'm going to be going into the MMA world. I offered my constructive criticism, and I will have you know, I never did shit on it. I never did. I said, hey, this guy is doing what he wants to do. This guy is, and I wasn't being a dick sucker for CM Punk or anything like that. It was just basically it happens in life. Sometimes you just out the clear blue say, I need to change pace. I need to change career paths because I'm not liking what's happening with this current one. I want to shake things up a little bit. Well, I always wanted to do X, Y, Z. And so CM Punk is living out that dream. And you can't really feel too sorry for the guy because whether he wins or loses, he's going to be he got a fat ass payday from the UFC for that one loss. He's going to be getting a really nice payday again, and kind of following up on the tweet that he had put out there. Yeah, he said pretty much he's going to be thanking his team for the win and kissing his beautiful wife. But let's flip that. If he loses again, he's going to be getting a decent amount of money. Yeah, he'll be 0-2, but he's going to be able to go to his nice home in Chicago, and he's going to be able to embrace himself in the arms of a beautiful wife, and life goes on. So, how can you hate that? You just can't. I think the people that are just seriously hating is people that just really want to see them some freaking CM Punk back in the WWE. Yeah, seriously. So, I see David in Facebook. Yeah, he agrees. He says, "Yeah, you're always going to be under the microscope." Do I think CM Punk will ever go back to the WWE? Man, anything is possible. I never thought I'd see Bruno Sammartino step foot in the WWE ring. I never thought that the family of the late Macho Man Randy Savage would make peace with the WWE. I never thought we'd see the Ultimate Warrior come back in good graces with the WWE. I never thought we'd see Sting step foot in the WWE. Stranger things and cooler things have happened before. So anything can happen. That's not really answering your question, but it is if you kind of stop and think about it. Anything can happen, man. Anything can truly happen. It would just have to touch and go, wait and see. Some other stuff I want to get into before we get ready to wrap it up for tonight. 3 things I want to fire off on real quick. 1, Kirk Cousins done with the Washington Redskins. Don't let the door hit you on the ass. I'm happy for Washington. Redskins is not a team that I follow faithfully. They're a team that I tolerate because my girl likes the Redskins. Her dad likes the Redskins. So that's a team that I try to tolerate and at least follow so I know what's going on with them. And honestly, it seemed like once Kirk Cousins was named the starter in 2015, after Robert Griffin III had got benched, Griffin, we can all be in agreement. He just wasn't the same after that first year as the starting QB. He was never quite the same after that. But Kirk Cousins, for what he was able to do with the Washington Redskins, I'm not going to miss him. I'm really not going to miss him. He had potential, but when it's all said and done, the way Kirk Cousins played, he played kind of like one of those football players that you like trying to convince other people. You like that? I never did really get into that. I thought that was very irritating. I never cared for that. Decent quarterback, but I mean, when it counts the most, let's be honest. His record against the Dallas Cowboys, the arch nemesis, it ain't good. The one win that he did get on the Cowboys, it wasn't even against a starter. It was against, I want to say, a third string Cowboys quarterback. Very mediocre. Very mediocre. Now, some people will say, oh, well, Lee, they had did this and this had happened with the offense and they had lost these guys. Well, what about when everything was still good? What's the excuse for that? What about when everything was still perfectly aligned for the Redskins? And he is going to go down without a doubt as one of the most overhyped and one of the most overpaid quarterbacks in the NFL. He is going to be getting a contract that he so does not deserve because he is not worth it. They're saying that it's down to the Jets and the Vikings. Free agency starts up today, actually, Wednesday, the 14th. I've got him signing with the Vikings. I mean, the Vikings, you saw the great run that they had last year. I think Kirk Cousins can definitely thrive with the right type of offense and defense. I'm like this. I'm willing to give Kirk Cousins the benefit of doubt and say, okay, well, now that you have a team that is fully committed to you, at least for 3+ years or more, all right, now that monkey's off your back and you're not basically playing to earn a contract like what was happening these past couple of years with Washington, now let's see what you can do. Can you now shake off that little monkey, on your back and go out there and actually really get your head into the game, or are you going to be a bust? So if it's a situation where he goes to the Vikings, and my 2 cents from a distance, I feel he's definitely going to be signing with the Vikings. I'd be shocked if he went with the Jets. I mean, Vikings to me comes off as though they are just 2-3 pieces away to basically going into the Super Bowl. Now, I don't know if Kirk Cousins can take them to the Super Bowl, but I tell you what, when you have all this shrouded mystery, when you have all this shrouded controversy, oh, well, are they going to franchise you again? What's going to happen? Yeah, I would suspect that's going to mess up your head a little bit. But then at the same time, you're trying to play just well enough to make yourself look good when you go out there on the free agency market, right? So I would suspect that once he gets a long-term deal from who I think is going to be the Vikings, we may see a really, really good Kirk Cousins, the best that we've seen so far in his career. So that's a touch and go. We'll see what happens. Another thing I wanted to get into, Odell Beckham Jr. A couple of people had asked me my thoughts about this, and honestly, straight up, I'm very disappointed. I'm very disappointed in Odell Beckham. Just to recap for those of you that maybe had missed it. So Odell, he meets this really nice, hot, beautiful woman at a bar. They pretty much at a nightclub / bar. They take the action to a hotel, and whoever's doing the recording, I don't know who. It seemed as though there was maybe a third person in there, but you see a big ass box of pepperoni pizza. Odell is just living the life. He is just having himself a good old time. You see some nice, good white substance that looks to be cocaine, mind you, that is just right there in the frame. And so you can't help but wonder what the hell is going on with Odell. And the woman that was with Odell, she had chimed in, gave a little bit more limelight on, what had came about, talked about how she had met Odell and, they ran into each other for the first time at that nightclub / bar. And she really couldn't remember anything else after they had took it on up to a hotel room. Everything else was a blur after that. I guess they had a really good time, right? But to continue to hear about Odell Beckham in these ridiculous headlines, this is a guy without a shadow of doubt. And Giants is a team, one of a few handful of teams that I follow every single year. I follow the Patriots, Giants, Broncos, Cowboys, 49ers. After what I saw of the Vikings and the Eagles, I'm definitely trying to do my best to follow them more and more. If that means I got to get red zone, so be it. But those are the teams I really like. Minus Vikings and Eagles, all the others I faithfully follow every single year. Odell Beckham is one gifted ass athlete. Very gifted, and for him to just continue to be involved, for him to continue to put himself in these situations that he should not be in is detrimental to his NFL career, because the NFL, we all know as fans, it stands for, not for long, right? Go in there, make your money as fast as you can. Boom. Make sure you're investing it, you're saving it, because you never know when it can end. And boom, I hope you have something else lined up, because once the football is over, you got to have something else to fall back on. So hopefully you got that college degree, or you've been making some really smart investments like what Peyton Manning was doing, owning all those 31 Colorado Papa Johns, right? Up until last week or whatever. So hopefully you got some type of a game plan to continue to keep the cash flow coming in once you're done being in the NFL. And to just see this young man with so much fucking potential, just basically wasting it away by making stupid ass decisions. I mean, we all make mistakes, but when you got guys like Chris Carter and others that are trying to be mentors, they're trying to steer you in the right direction. And there's got to come a point in time where it follows up on what I had said earlier about Jeff Hardy. Enough is enough. It's time to freaking grow up. It's time for you to put them big boy pants on and start acting like a grown up. You can't keep going out here and acting like this. There's gonna be serious repercussions. He just turned 25 not too long ago. And if I'm the New York Giants right now, whatever deal was possibly on the table for Odell, I've now got to take a serious step back and say, you know what? I don't really know if we want to continue to have this controversy with you, because it seems to us that you can't even keep yourself out of trouble during the off season. Free agency ain't even start yet, and you giving us this? You putting this on our plate? Some people would say cheaper to keep her, but in this case, if I'm the Giants, I think they seriously need to consider trading Odell. What you could possibly get, though, it just depends. Maybe my 2 cents. See what you can do with the Browns. I would send his ass to the Browns. I would so send his ass to the Browns. I would maybe try to negotiate with them. Or honestly, you could trade him. You could trade Odell. Browns need all the help that they can get. They're at least 7 years away as far as rebuilding, maybe 5 tops. But I would send Odell over there, get some of them first round picks up off of them. Dude is still young. Yeah, he was injured and all that, but he still got at least about 5 more years. You can still get at least 5 more years out of the guy if he remains healthy. But I'm curious what you guys make of this, because when I heard this report, I'm going, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? It's stupid. I don't remember being the age of 25. Acting like this. Acting like a knucklehead. I don't even remember having friends this age that acted this immature, especially when it came to a situation. Hey man, don't mess that money up. You got some good money coming in. Don't mess that up, man. Don't mess it up. And one other thing I want to talk about, I'm gonna end it on 2 notes. Rest in peace to the late Craig Mack. Here comes the brand new flavor in your ear. I'm putting new flavor in your ear. That brand new flavor in the ear. Passed away earlier. What was it? This week? He passed away on the 12th. Died shockingly at the age of 47. And apparently, new information that's coming in, he died from heart failure at a hospital down in South Carolina. And according to a colleague friend of his, DJ Scratch, Craig Mack was actually ill for some time before he passed away. And he was actually preparing for his time of dying. Rapper Eric Sermon, he recently took to social media to reveal that he was finishing up on a new Craig Mack album. I would think is going to be dropping maybe by summer. So, fond memories, man. Fond memories of Craig Mack. A lot of fond memories. I mean, that song alone, dude was just all over the place. All over the place, man. I remember when B.I.G. had first pretty much broke out Mac. It was with Big Papa. And he had that line, I got more Mac than Craig. Yeah, that was my joint right there, man. Yeah, Craig Mack, only 47. Damn sad, man. Damn sad. Other than that, let's see here. Anything else I want to get into on the show? I don't really want to give this guy press, so I'm actually not going to mention that topic. I'll marinate on that a little bit more. I may mention that on next week's show. There was one other topic I wanted to get into, but I don't think I'm going to get into it. Real quick, let me just poke my head in the chat here, man. I got to show you guys some love and pick on you all's brains, see what you guys are saying here in the chat here. See what we got here. Loading this bad boy up. Let's see. I'm looking in Facebook here. Bear with me, guys. All right, now let me look at, okay, that's good. All right, so I can pretty much just focus on YouTube. All right, let me see what's going on with YouTube here. All right, guys, I'm in the YouTube chat. I'm just scrolling through some of what you guys are saying here. Bear with me here. Interesting question. Why don't I do Monday Night Raw reviews? Only SmackDown when SmackDown is normal. Well, here's the thing, and any longtime listener knows this. The RCWR show, when it was first created, it started off as a live radio show / on-demand downloadable podcast, and the dates that it would come on would be every Tuesday night, and it's been that way since 2011. And that is a tradition that has continued on right on up to now. So understand something. SmackDown, when we started in 2011, it didn't come on Tuesdays. You guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I think back in 2011, I think SmackDown had came on Thursdays still. If not Thursdays, maybe Fridays. So at one point, there was a decision to make when SmackDown was going to come on live on Tuesdays, which was, okay, rearrange, come on another night, or come on after SmackDown. And I mean, it just made all the sense in the world. Well, look, the show's been coming on Tuesday nights after SmackDown for this long. I'm sorry, correction. The show has been coming on Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern for this long. Why not continue to stay at this date and time? And okay, so we're following up behind SmackDown. That's even more convenient. Now, the thing with Raw, and any longtime listener again can back me up on this. So many nights that I would come on here and do a Monday Night Raw review. And there were many Monday nights where Monday nights were dragging, straight up dragging. And it was why are we doing this? The co-host that I had, Titus, will tell you. Shout out to my buddy Titus. Titus will tell you there were nights we're talking mad shit before we go live. God damn, how are we gonna be able to get through? And we're literally at the last minute looking for other shit to talk about because we just didn't like what was going on with Raw. And when you work a full-time job and then you work a part-time job, cleaning up audio, doing transcribing, editing videos and pre and post-production, and then you got to juggle your own show, then you got to try to squeeze in time with the family. My schedule is kind of hectic as it is, especially when it's a weekend where we get a WWE event, like a pay-per-view, maybe a TNA pay-per-view. And then like this weekend alone, well, not this weekend, but WrestleMania weekend alone, that's going to be fucking ridiculous because Friday night, I'm going to have to deal with the Hall of Fame ceremony. Saturday night, I'm going to have to deal with NXT. Sunday night, I'm going to have to deal with the WrestleMania after show. Monday night, I'll be resting. But then Tuesday night, actually, if history has proven in the past, usually Monday nights, we come on and do the Raw after WrestleMania because that's usually like pretty something symbolic usually happens, right? So that's 4 nights of 4 consecutive shows right there. And then I usually just go on ahead, take the rest of the week off because it's dead. It's dead quiet. There shouldn't be anything else happening, right? So for me, also doing a show after Raw goes off Monday night at 11 something in the morning, at 11 something at night, like 11:15, 11:20 at night, and then I'm supposed to do what, a 2-hour show? So I'm not getting off the air until 1:30 in the morning, and then I have to stay up and edit the audio for a few minutes for those on the downloads. So basically, I'm not going to be going to bed until 2:30 in the morning going into Tuesday morning. Yeah, I'm not interested in doing that shit. No, no, I tried. No, no, not happening. Now, yeah, yeah, I was about to say something else, but no, I'm not doing that. No, never again. And that's what makes the RCWR show that you get Tuesday nights good, because you get a little bit of Raw talk, you get a little bit of SmackDown talk, you get a little bit of headlines, you get a little bit of stuff in between. You know, I think for all podcasts that are in the wrestling, I think now it's starting to catch on that, there's so many people that all they do is talk about one show. And I was a victim to that, just talking about one show for 1 hour or 90 minutes. That's great if it's a pay-per-view, but to just do that for, say, an episode of Raw or SmackDown. In this day and age, there are so many other people that all they can do is just do recaps of those same shows, and they expect to get a boatload of subscribers and all that other shit. God bless them. More power to them if they want to do that type of shit. I want to have fucking fun doing what I'm doing every single week. And it gives me a lot of fun. You have no idea. It gives me a lot of fun to come on here every single week and just pretty much shoot from the hip on some things I kind of noticed that either made me laugh or kind of made me think a little bit, and I give it to you guys. So hope that answers your question. I'll look at some more stuff here. Scroll is some more here. And you guys got to forgive me, because this same guy that asked me about why don't I do Monday Night Raw reviews, this is the same guy. Look, I'm not going to mention his name because I don't want him catching any heat, because I know how some of you guys are. This is the same guy. I did something. I think I did. Oh, I uploaded the Jeff Jarrett interview. And within 3 minutes, he goes, "Come on live." I say, "Why?" "I'm bored. Just come on and talk about something." I'm like, dude, that's what you have the Jeff Jarrett interview for. That'll tie you over until I come on here Friday night and offer match picks for Fastlane. I love you guys. I'm glad that you want more content, but I'm getting up there in age. I mean, I'm still a young man, but from when I started doing this in 2011 and where I am now, my life has changed so much. Now more than ever, I'm really just appreciating quality time with the family, time to decompress when I'm not doing the show. And I think that's key in staying sane. Sadly, the other thing, me doing the show, there's a blessing and a curse. The blessing is I can come on here, I can talk about whatever I want to talk about, and I don't have to worry about offending a co-host. The flip side to that, if I want to take a night off, right? Sadly, if I take a night off, there's no substitute. And as a result of there being no substitute, there's just no show for that week. So it's a double-edged sword when it's all said and done. Checking out some more comments here. See what else we got. Yeah, eventually, Bam Bam Bigelow, he'll go into the WWE Hall of Fame. Do I think he's going to be named as the final inductee? It's possible. It's possible. I wouldn't put it past the WWE. Would it be nice? It would be nice, yeah. Would I like to see it happen? Sure. There's a lot I'd like to see as far as who else needs to be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame. I'd be here all night going through that. Let's see here. Don't even get me started on China not in the WWE Hall of Fame. It's great seeing that topic, but when you've tackled that topic so many times, and you know that clips are available on YouTube of you talking about, China and the WWE Hall of Fame, me writing an article, it just gets to that point where you don't want to insult the other listeners that, it's well documented already as far as, hey, Lee, what's your take on China WWE Hall of Fame? I'd hate to rehash that again for folks. See what else we got here. Let's go through a couple of more comments here. Boom. Exactly. Gino gets it. Gino summed it up perfectly. He says, I like a variety talk. That's what I like about the show. That's what I'm saying, man. If I had one piece of advice for newcomers as far as the podcasting world and all that, I can't tell you, I'm not bashing people. If you ask me straight up, am I still continuing to evolve? Fuck yeah, I'm continuing to evolve. I kind of wish this was actually a portion of the show that could actually go on Epic Sports, because let me tell you something. For a guy that did not go to school for radio engineering, broadcasting, anything like that, for a guy that had no formal training whatsoever, for a guy that did not have anybody take him under their wing and say, okay, I'm going to show you the ropes. This is how you do XYZ. I pretty much had to learn everything on my own. Do I continue to be a work in progress? Yes. God knows, yes, I continue to be a work in progress. That's why I'm so receptive to constructive criticism, because the only way I know how to improve is to get feedback. And I'll always make time for somebody that, number one, is respectful, because I treat people the way I want to be treated, and I treat people with respect. And the minute that I feel disrespected, like when somebody throws an insult or whatever like that, I'm going, okay, I'm done. I've already muted you. I've already blocked you. I'm not having that crap. So I continue to evolve. And I'm not boosting or anything like that. I'm keeping it real with you guys. It's sad that in 2018 to see some of these newer shows that are coming along and they aren't doing it right from the get-go. From when I began, it was, it wasn't as massive as it is now, as far as, all right, this is how you do this. This is how you do that. This is how you get this together with that. And, now there is like 101 courses that you could just find for free on equipment and things of that nature. But when I started off in 2011, it was still pretty, I don't know where to start. I guess I got to figure some shit out, right? It's sad to see newcomers come along and they're not getting it. They're not hitting it off the break. I was listening to one show the other day and the audio was so piss poor. Very piss poor, very gargly. It had that blog talk radio effect to it, but worse than blog talk radio. If you have listened to your fair share of shows on blog talk radio. And I just couldn't help but go, God damn. It's like, come on, it's 2018. Come on, step it up. Get it going, man. All the stuff that's out there now, it's the biggest misconception. If someone were to ask me, what's the biggest misconception that you've personally come across from those that are in the same genre you're in, Lee? What's the biggest misconception that you feel is out there? I think the biggest misconception that a lot of people have, that, again, for a guy that has had no formal training whatsoever, one point my show almost gets picked up by CBS Radio. I've had the opportunity to interview many big names. I'm potentially locking up a really big name that I'm going to be potentially talking to in person to film for the RCWR show in an exclusive interview. It ain't no wrestler either. It's a celebrity. So, to have no formal training and to come along the way I've come along and still evolving, I think that's a testament to dedication. And I think that the biggest misconception that I've come across so far is individuals that feel all you got to do is just get in front of a microphone and talk. God fucking damn it. If that's all that needed to be done, we all would be fucking millionaires by now, man. Lord knows I've had so many serious talks with the missus about why am I doing this? And I have to always be reminded. And I know every single time I do this, every single week, every single month, every single year, I enjoy it. And until things change in such a way, I don't know. Maybe when a kid is in the picture, I gotta scale it down. I don't know. I definitely see myself continuing to do this until I've absolutely have okay, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. But I'm still having a lot of fun. I think that's the other thing. You still got to have some type of fun doing what you're doing. If there's no fun, if there's no enjoyment out of doing this, because mentally it can definitely be draining. And one can definitely feel very defeated when they see the type of negative feedback that comes their way. You know, there's a big difference between offering constructive feedback and then somebody throwing insults. And it's kind of like this one show I listened to. I told you the audio was really bad. And I sent a private message. I said, hey, look, if you need some help as far as what type of equipment to get, how you need to produce it and everything, let me know. I'm more than willing to help you out. Obviously, you're showing some type of dedication because I see the number of episodes that you're putting out, but you may want to consider XYZ. But I think that's really one of the biggest misconceptions, sadly. And that's just not my opinion. I mean, shit, we had Sean Oliver on the show a couple of weeks ago. And, even he took a little diss at those that, hey, Johnny Come Lately figures they buy a $100 microphone and all of a sudden they're an artiste. They're a disc jockey. And, like I said on Soup a couple of weeks back, you show me a motherfucker that is willing to make that type of an investment, even if it's $20 to buy a fucking microphone. You show me a motherfucker that shows that emphasis on care, then I will present to you a motherfucker that will say, hey, I'm willing to teach you what I know. But I think those are probably the biggest misconceptions. It's so funny too, because normally when I see people that throw insults, blank avatar, no picture in their little avatar is just blank, or maybe they got some type of a silly ass cartoon graphic or whatever like that. But the real kicker is clicking on their YouTube or Google Plus channel, clicking on their Twitter, clicking on their Facebook bio, and seeing that they have no followers. And you're fucking trying to tell me how you don't like me. I'm just shooting from the hip a little bit here. So, I mean, I could have been done with the stream a long time ago, but it's kind of nice to go this extended. I think our YouTube audience, you'll be able to hear all of this, especially those of you on the going to be checking this out on demand. You're gonna get all of this, but the audio is gonna be cropped. So enjoy this little bonus chat that I'm doing with you guys. But yeah, that's my 2 cents from a distance. I think we're now starting to get to that point where gone are the days of full wrestling show recaps, because there are just so many that are out there that do that. It's not even funny, especially the shows that there's no clarity. There's no Roman Reigns defeated Braun Strowman, and then Trish Stratus came out and she wanted to know who ate her burger, and then went to a commercial break. God, you can read that yourself. Quite honestly, right? You be honest with yourselves. You can read that shit yourself. So seriously, man. I think I will go ahead and end the stream. I mean, I'd like to keep going, but we did pretty good for you guys, man. I mean, you guys on YouTube, you pretty much got like a 2-hour 30-minute show. And like I said, for those that's going to be getting this on the downloads, I'm cropping it. So this is the part where I say, because now it's going to be edited, your next edition of the RCWR show is going to be coming at you guys next Tuesday night. That is going to be on March the 20th, 2018. Will be coming on as soon as Raw. Oh, God. See, all that talk of Raw. Forgive me, guys. Be coming on as soon as SmackDown goes off the air. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at the RCWR Show. Been getting a decent amount of likes and follows on the Instagram and the Facebook. And if you want more content, may I suggest being my Patreon? Head on over to patreon.com/RCWR Show. Which reminds me, next week we got to give a shout out to our Patreons for this month. You get access to 30 with Lee. If you guys are movie buffs, there's actually a free-for-all edition of 30 with Lee that's available right now. Me and the girlfriend Tammy, we actually had reviewed the new Death Wish movie that came out in theaters a couple of weeks ago. So we've got that. And honestly, my schedule has just been slammed, but I finally got some free time coming up for this week for sure. Me and Tammy are actually going to be sitting down and we're going to be recording some more stuff for 30. So you get access to 30 with Lee, exclusive bonus episodes of the RCWR show, some vintage audio. Everything starts at just $5 monthly. I mean, you can't beat that. So if you like more content, all that good stuff, patreon.com/RCWR show. So for you guys, everybody in the chat, going to be checking this out on the downloads. Appreciate the love and support as always. YouTube, we wish you guys a very good night, good morning,